This Shabbat is Shabbat Hagadol, the Shabbat before Pesach, known as the Great Shabbat. Over 3,300 years ago, the Exodus was about to happen. So much of what happened at the time of the Exodus suddenly seems very relevant as we face the plague of Corona. For example, on the last night of Egypt, as they sat down to their first ever Seder, with the Paschal lamb and the matzah and the moror, they were told, no one may leave their house until the morning. 800 years later, the prophet Isaiah was to say something similar. Go, my people, enter your chambers and close the doors behind you. Hide for a moment until the wrath passes. My dear friends, there are two strong forces pulling at us right now, and both are very real. The first is the reality of our situation. People we know have died or are critically ill, amongst the tens of thousands worldwide. We're told to stay home as much as possible and to always keep our distance, all in order to fight this pandemic. And yet we're also told to keep our spirits high for our own sakes and for the sake of the people who depend on us. And once again, I have to give a huge thank you to our growing number of volunteers who are dedicating themselves to helping people in our community in many different ways. In regard to keeping our spirits up, it's tremendously exciting that Rabbi Andrew Shaw and others have put together a really inspiring Shabbaton for this Shabbat Hagadol. It'll begin at 5:30 on Friday afternoon. You could see it on the United Synagogue YouTube website and Facebook Live, and it will last until about half an hour before candle lighting. From 5:30, there will be a performance by Yaakov Shweki from his home in America. As well as being an amazing singer, he reaches out to the disabled in a most unique way across the spectrum of the Jewish world. He and his wife run a center for disabled children in the United States, and he composes songs of encouragement just for them. So tune in on Erev Shabbat for the Shweki concert, which will be followed by messages from the Prime Minister and the Chief Rabbi. Then there will be Kabbalat Shabbat, a special service of Kabbalat Shabbat, the dynamic Rabbi Eli Levine of South Hampstead Shul. As part of the Shabbaton, there's also material for all of us to print out, to read over Shabbat. Serious things, fun things, something for everyone. Also, every shul rabbi was asked to write up a sermon for someone to read out over Shabbat. And before the Kiddush on Friday night, Rabbi has written for before the Kiddush on Friday night, and I've written a sermon for Shabbat, in such a way that even one of your children can be the rabbi and read it out. And then after Shabbat goes out, there'll be Rabbi Sachs and Johnny Turgle begging Havdalah for us at 9 o'clock. I think we're in for a real treat. Just to mention also that many chief rabbis in the world have combined together in an appeal to really observe and treasure this Shabbat in a special way. Despite being isolated, we should aim to be more together than ever, especially with phone calls to loved ones and people on their own before Shabbat comes in. Please have a look at the letter, which is on the shul website. So, as we hide inside until the wrath passes, as the prophet Isaiah said, let's make this a Shabbat to remember. Wishing you all a very special Shabbat Hagadol. Shabbat Shalom.